What's going on, guys? Welcome back to Nerd Militia. I'm your host, Vex, and this week in Nerd, we have a lot to unpack. But before we begin, why don't you guys head on down to that little button down there called subscribe. Subscribe to this channel. Don't forget to hit the notification bells so you can stay up on all things nerd. Okay, guys, so the very first thing we're going to talk about is comics. And right now, Marvel's doing their awesome Dawn of X event headed by Jonathan Hickman. And Jonathan is tasked with the job of revitalizing and I don't know, reinventing the whole X-Men universe. And if you haven't read Powers of X, House of X yet, do so now. Get out there, go collect them, because at my local comic book shop, these comics can't stay on the shelves. So far in this story, it hasn't disappointed. Although, I am kind of skeptical because the X-Men in Marvel haven't been given the best material as of late. Geez, and so I'm just waiting for this to all come crashing down. But so far, it has been good. Jonathan has shown respect to previous writers and artists of the series. He has created this new world in which almost all variation of the team has existed thanks to a little twist in this story that I won't spoil for you, but I need you to go read. This comic book is everything. And like I said, we're more than halfway done with this in its latest issue number 4 of House of X. Or House of 10, whichever one it's called House of 10, but I call it House of X. It's awesome. It literally has your heart pounding from start to finish, and it's such a thriller of a book that you really need to go read this. That is usually I'll do a bunch, maybe 3 comic books, but honestly, this is taking the cake. This is my main focus. I can't wait for one to come out. And now they're coming out House of X, Powers of X, and I think for a while there they went from Powers House, and there is an order to read it rather than the order that they are released, but either way you read it, it is fun, and I definitely recommend that you guys go out here and go read that book. So I actually got lucky and I acquired a variant issue of Powers of X. It's an awesome cover. It has 2 of my favorite X-Men, Colossus and Magic, the Rasputins, and it was pretty awesome. So I'm excited about it. I'm excited about this book. You guys need to go collect it. On the TV end of this, guys, I'm super excited. I've been excited about Disney Plus since it was announced and since they've acquired Fox, because there's a plethora of things that we're going to be able to watch on this, and I'm mostly looking forward to The Simpsons, because The Simpsons is awesome. I dig season 1 to season 9 or 10, maybe 8, because 8 had Frank Grimes, and that was pretty awesome. But Disney Plus has announced a plethora of original entertainment that's coming out towards us, and there's a couple that I'm mostly excited for. Number 1 on that list is She-Hulk. I'm one of the biggest She-Hulk fans. I remember really getting into She-Hulk when there was the animated cartoon. I thought it was awesome. Either she had an animated cartoon or she was in the animated cartoon. I feel like she had a solo one, and I was a fan of that. But I remember in the cartoon universe where I was like, oh, there's a female version of her. My only issue with this one is, and it's not really an issue, it's whether or not which version of the Hulk she is going to be, or they're going to use in its adaptation for the series. If it's live action, are they going to use the lawyer, sexy Hulk, which is a lot of fan service, but that is the original version of She-Hulk that I'm used to. I dig it. You have Bruce Banner, who's on this other end of the spectrum where he has all this muscle, but none of the brain function until you get to Professor Hulk. But then you have the other side of the female Hulk, or She-Hulk, who enjoys the fact that she's green and big and tall. Now we're in this area where She-Hulk is more of Bruce Banner. She has no intelligence. She's more hulking. It's kind of crazy. I'm not too much of a fan of it. I mean, that's my thing, man. And I'm honestly not a fan of new Marvel She-Hulk, but maybe she'll grow on me. I don't know, but it's going to be interesting to see which version of She-Hulk they're going to do. But I'm excited to see who will play her and if they will actually do the work. Because one of the things that we see, is a trend, is I think the female counterparts are the actors versus the male counterparts are these superheroes. I mean, I guess they say they work out, but I've never seen anybody I've never seen anybody take a regiment as serious as Linda Hamilton did in Terminator 2. That lady was seriously ripped and buff. So I feel like most guys are in the gym, most of the male actors are in the gym, while the female actresses or actors just show up to set. Movies. So it seems like Sony has shut the door on the whole MCU Spider-Man thing, and that's understandable. This was all pretty much a temporary thing when we all got Spider-Man in the MCU. Like, we knew this was temporary. This was only a lending type of thing. A lot of people felt really strongly about it. Weirdly enough, a lot of like fans got into like some weird like industry thing where they were like, Marvel can't or Disney can't own everything. And like, I was like, guys, like, we're not business lawyers. Like, we're not into that aspect. Like, who cares who owns who? The issue is here, like, is whether or not Sony's going to tell a good story for Spider-Man and how they're going to pick that up, because Sony doesn't have the rights to Thanos. Sony doesn't have the right to Snapping. So how all that's going to continue in the Sony's world, it's going to be a rough pickup, because they're not going to be able to explain the PTSD that Spider-Man just went through. Like, he literally just died. And so now the mass audience has seen that, and Sony won't be able to make reference to that. So it's going to be kind of exciting to see how they do this. The other portion of that is, and this goes back to like an interview that Feige did with Amy Pascal. And Amy Pascal, if you guys don't know who she is, she's like the head of like Sony Entertainment. She is the lady who had the infamous email when China hacked Sony Pictures, and she was the one who sent the email that said Spider-Man can't be black, Spider-Man can't be gay, and Spider-Man can't be a woman. Anyways, in this said interview with Feige, she's talking about how Venom is going to be in the MCU, and like Feige's face is like, I don't know about that.
Those movies will all take place in the world that we are now creating for Peter Parker. I mean, there'll be adjuncts to it. They may be different locations, but it will still all be in the same world, and they will be connected to each other as well.
So there is a chance that Tom Holland as Spider-Man will pop up somewhere?
There's a chance.
There's always a chance.
There's always a chance.
So earlier on, you could tell that Amy Pascal had ideas about Spider-Man and Venom and how she wanted to shape her Spider-Verse that Feige had no interest in doing. Like, Feige's building his own world. He really didn't have any interest in bringing over any of Sony's creations, which is understandable. But on the flip side of that, you had Amy Pascal, who wants to build her own universe, who wants to build her own Spider-Verse. And Spider-Man does have a ton of rogue galleries. I mean, it's just going to be hard because, granted, yes, Spider-Man does have a lot of rogues in his gallery, a lot of villains. It's just villains that we've already seen, and so it's going to be hard for them to pull out some villains and make them interesting to us again. And it's going to be interesting to see who they pull from the list. Like, obviously, we have Morbius, which is already filming with Jared Leto. There's talk of a Craven movie, which is, it's going to be really hard because a lot of these characters are not like known characters. They don't have a lot of fanfare. So although, yes, Spider-Man does have a rogue gallery, there are only a few who are as popular as Venom or Doc Ock. And considering how Sony treated Harry Osborn, it's going to be interesting to see how they make us care about their villains. Besides that, we got some other stuff that, like the Bad Boys Forever trailer was just released.
One last time. One last time.
We ain't going nowhere, 'cause it's Bad Boys for life.
And it was pretty funny, pretty great. It was awesome to see Martin Lawrence and Will Smith back together to give us some cop goodness, to see where that's going to fall out. There are some new actors involved with this. Most notably, Vanessa Hudgens is in there. And then, of course, you have I believe there's like a Bad Boy spin-off TV show that has Gabrielle Union and Jessica Alba in it that I think that's gonna like shoot off after this movie premieres eventually. It too was released, and despite like its rating on Rotten Tomatoes and despite what other critics have said, I've actually enjoyed it too. It was bloodier, it was gorier, it was kind of scarier to be fair, but I dug it. I liked it. It was almost 3 hours. It was pretty cool. It got to the point. I liked it. Most people were like, why was it 3 hours? And a majority of the complaint came from people who were like, I don't understand why it was 3 hours. The characters this or the characters that, and it was just like, you guys are trying to base this off of something that's only at a TV movie. It's not like the movie that preceded this was such a great movie that this movie is horrible. Like, it was just bananas. It was a good movie. It was a horror movie. I mean, they did what they could with a story that involves a floating turtle that spewed out our universe and a freaking clown. Like, what more did you want from this, people? Like, it was a horror movie. Like, horror movies are like, to be fair, horror movies are known to be like small budgeted and don't have the great effects. They just are there to do what it is they do, scare you. And it did that. Chapter 2 did that for me. I thought it was awesome. In gaming news, we had Nintendo do its Nintendo Direct. I think it was on the 4th of this month or last week too. There's a lot of stuff they released, a lot of information, a lot of games. Most notably, Overwatch is coming to the Switch. And there was Pokemon news, and I love Pokemon. And it was really cool. They had a bunch of new features. Pokemon Camp. There's a new Pokemon that apparently lives in a teapot that you can get tea from. In the curry deck, so like you can make different kinds of curries that give your Pokemon different kind of attributes, and I think that was pretty awesome. So I'm excited for these games, and I just want them now. I have to wait till November, which is kind of around my birthday, so I probably get that for myself, but it looks awesome. So let's talk cons, guys. You guys know I love cons. I like them. They're the best. An up-and-coming con, if you're in the Pasadena, California area, is NerdBot Expo, or Nerd Expo. It's no longer NerdBot Con, it's NerdBot Expo, which either version is pretty cool, but you're going to have everything. There's going to be a film festival there. There's going to be, of course, a ton of booths to get, like, one-of-a-kind t-shirts, merchandising. Of course, there's going to be a lot of people there signing autographs and whatnot, but I'm there for the cosplay. I dig cosplayers. I dig all the hard work people go through to make these things, and I'm excited to see what they bring. Speaking of cons, my interview with TJ Storm, who was a lot of things. One, my favorite X-Men of all time, Colossus. He is Godzilla. Like, he does the Godzilla walk. It's freaking awesome. So I have an interview I did with him at the Japan World Heroes Convention that was also in Pasadena that rocked. Then over on YouTube, on some filmmakers who are out there doing their thing, I got a couple videos that you guys should check out, a couple films you guys should check out, and here they go. First up is Neville Longbottom in The Black Witch.
Shh, shh. You're okay. It's okay. He's gone now. Don't be scared. You're safe. Neville.
Story about Neville Longbottom, obviously, when he was a kid growing up, into his relationship, or lack thereof, a relationship between him and Bellatrix Lestrange. This movie is made by Muggleflix. They are a YouTube channel. I will put the link down there. Go ahead and check it out. It's pretty awesome. The effects are great. The costuming is great. I mean, the whole thing is awesome. And then there's Shattered Time. It's a Power Ranger fan film. It's awesome. Like, the costumes are on point. The morphine effects is great. It's made by this guy named Chris Katana. I hope I said his name right. And it's on Katana Films. I'll also put the link down there. But again, the fight scenes are good. The effects are good. The morphine scenes are great. He actually got one of the actors who was like I think the original Blue Ranger from Time Force in it. I can't be wrong. But it looks good. Check it out. And that's pretty much it, guys. That's the news of last week. And this is the first episode in This Week in Nerd. And I know I'm talking about last week, but this is the first episode, so I'm going to do whatever I want. And like usual, guys, thanks for stopping by the Nerd Militia, where we read comic books and do dope shit. And as usual, guys, I'll catch you later.